Diablo 1 stands as one of the most impactful games of its era, establishing a number of the core rules that the genre still follows to this day, and that its successor helped refine into what many consider a classic. This grandfather of the genre interestingly did something its successor wouldn't do for over 20 years. It released on console. More precisely, the original PlayStation. Today we're going to take a look at how well this port was done, and does it stay true to the original, and what does it improve on or sacrifice for this transition. Obviously, the core gameplay of Diablo 1 and all of its quirks are still there, ranging from the slow but steady walking speed, the tendency for death to be quite a bit more punishing than the other Diablos, and the use of cursed shrines and even negative bonus items to waste your resources identifying or even using them. But along with this, the charm is still around as well, with the interesting balance of the three characters with open spellbooks that can learn any spell as long as you have the magic stat for it, but defining features such as faster bow shots for the rogue, better blocking and melee for the warrior, and faster casting on the sorcerer. There's also the item tiers that are a staple of the genre that were later evolved from for its successors. Not to mention the expected brutal surprises such as the Butcher early on that serves to tell you that this world definitely wants you dead and that you should stay on your toes because it will check your levels. As a game originally designed for mouse and keyboard, the transition to console was actually surprisingly smooth, with only a few awkward interface issues that can slow some things down, but nothing obscene or game-breaking. Things such as having a split character screen instead of one, or a backpack inventory that is separate from the screen for your equipped inventory. They were kind of expected with the PS1's resolution compared to the content in the game. And with this being on a platform before the common use of analog sticks, obviously directional control with a D-pad can prove somewhat interesting until you get back into the swing of the classic controls. Though all things considered, it still feels quite natural. This is further helped by customizable controls and the ability to use simplified or complex combos that can kind of be free to adapt to your preferences. One interesting thing that actually made me prefer playing Diablo on PlayStation rather than PC for a lot of time was the inclusion of one actually interesting option that lets you increase the game speed to make the necessary backtracking a bit less tedious, though it is a double-edged sword since by enabling it, the whole game moves twice as fast, not just your feet. So you'll need to really be on top of those healing potions while fighting some of these just standard hordes. But thankfully, that healing just follows a shoulder button auto-click system by default, where it will use your potions from weakest to strongest at the click of a button. Left shoulder for healing, right shoulder for mana, regardless of where they are. The other nice to have about the PlayStation 1 Diablo was actually how it implemented a rather convenient auto-aim function, since in the PC version you had to actively click on a target repeatedly, which kind of ruined a lot of mice, but it also made fighting things further away a lot easier. On the PlayStation version though, you will generally auto-aim at the enemies that get near, making aiming as things swarm you significantly easier once you get a feel for it down, since you do have limited control of that auto-aim. That said, Diablo 1 on PlayStation 1 does have its drawbacks, a big one being memory cards, that you can thankfully overcome with emulation, but that would often take up a full 2/3 of a normal memory card to save your place in a game, whereas on PC, the save files were usually trivial in size, even with the smaller hard drives whenever it first released, but that is definitely a small price to pay for the convenience of actually playing the game from your couch back in the late 90s. Though another nice thing about playing it from the couch in the late 90s, as well as on a CRT, was that you didn't notice just how much the PlayStation 1's graphics were fudged compared to the original PC version, which itself was not a very pixel-dense game. It's not an atrocious conversion, but the reality is going from the original PC graphics to the PlayStation graphics did take a little bit of a adjustment, but they were far from terrible, and on displays of the time the differences were a bit less noticeable. That said, with the modern displays, you will see a bit of the more distinct differences between the two. With modern HD packs, the PC version generally does feel a lot superior graphically, even if it still lacks some of the quality of life improvements from the PlayStation version. Overall, I think there is definitely some merit to at least trying the console version of Diablo 1 if you're interested in playing this game or haven't played Diablo 1 before, especially since it feels better on controller than the more recent console version of even Diablo 2 Resurrected. But I would probably say the price will be a bit prohibitive, so you may want to borrow it from a friend, since Diablo 1's PlayStation copy has kind of skyrocketed in price since the collecting craze has started, being one of a number of titles that has well passed even the initial sale price due to rarity, sometimes even doubling it during the peaks of the, well, sale patterns.